it comes to games, there are certain series we can always count on. A new installment releases every year, the core gameplay stays intact, and we even get a few improvements and updates.
Yeah, it's kind of this simple formula, and these next games are just so different.
Yeah, we are not talking about the simple formula at all this go around. So let's check out a few games that are doing things a little bit different this time around.
Yeah, so we know what to expect from a Metal Gear game, right? Usually you can count on stealth action, giant mechs, and people named after animals. But all bets are off in the latest entry in the series, Metal Gear Survive. With a focus on co-op, multiplayer, and survival-based gameplay, this is something completely new for the Metal Gear franchise. Set in an alternate reality and taking place just before the events of Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, your goal is to explore, strategize, and collect supplies, to build your camp and fend off zombie-esque creatures. Play on your own or team up with friends. Both modes are linked via a central hub called Base Camp, and your character progress and gear will carry over between the two.
Even if you don't know much about Sword Art Online, you'd probably assume it's a game that more or less focuses on the use of swords. And for most of the games in the series, you'd be 100% right, but that is not the case with Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet. In an evolution of the action RPG gameplay the series is known for, Fatal Bullet primarily features gun-based combat. This game actually takes place in the world of Gun Gale Online, a fictional VR MMORPG that exists within the Sword Art Online anime series. Engage in intense battles across a variety of visually stunning sci-fi landscapes, and experience an original story that evolves based on your player choices, which is pretty amazing. You'll encounter characters from the original Sword Art Online original novels, animes, previous games, and every interaction will change the way the story unfolds.
The Far Cry series is known for transporting players to exotic locations like tropical islands, the Himalayas, Central Africa, and even prehistoric Europe. But Far Cry 5 is tackling a whole new frontier, Hope County, Montana. Explore Hope County by water, land, and sky with the largest roster of vehicles ever featured in a Far Cry game. You'll also have access to a more extensive arsenal of customizable weapons than ever before. And that's a good thing because you're going to need it. After all, you're in Montana for an important reason: to free the citizens of a small town from the grip of a dangerous doomsday cult. Create and customize your own character, then choose how to navigate relationships with other characters, building alliances and shaping the narrative. You may just be a sheriff's deputy, but your role in Hope County's battle against the ruthless cult leader Joseph Seed and his followers could mean the difference between life and death.
Far Cry 5 is definitely shaping up to be probably one of the best first-person shooters of the year, and while you're waiting to play it, here are a few other games you might want to check out.
Yes, here's Jeremy from Achievement Hunter with his list of the top 5 current-gen FPS games.
What's up, guys? Jeremy from Achievement Hunter here, bringing you the top 5 best FPS games from this generation. So here's the qualifiers for this list. Number 1. The game must have a first-person perspective through most, if not all, of the gameplay. Number 2. The game must be a shooter of some kind. This doesn't necessarily mean that you need to have a gun, but you need to have some form of first-person attack. And number 3, the game has to have been initially released on this generation of consoles. That meaning the Xbox One, the PS4, and the Nintendo Switch, things like that. Meaning games like the Master Chief Collection, which is a remake of older games, doesn't really count. Now, this list was very difficult to put together. There were so many great first-person shooters that came out for this generation. But we here at Achievement Hunter have narrowed it down to the 5 that we think outshine the rest. So let's jump right in. At number 5, we have what is probably one of the most underrated first-person shooters in gaming history, Titanfall 2. Titanfall 2's downside is that it came out at the same time as another big first-person shooter, Battlefield 1, which strangely enough are from the same company. But Titanfall 2 was such an incredible first-person shooter. You play as a pilot who can take control of their giant robotic Titan to take down their enemies. Titanfall 2 boasts one of the most fluid movement systems in any game in history. Running on walls, double jumping, grappling hooks, there's so many different modes of travel that you can take, and they all just work. The multiplayer of Titanfall 2 is fast-paced, games don't last very long, and you can see all kinds of different tech while you're playing. There's many different ways that you can try to take down your opponents, and all of them are fun and unique. However, the most underrated part of Titanfall 2 is its single-player campaign. It boasts one of the greatest campaigns of this generation, so if you haven't picked it up and tried it out yet, you really need to. Titanfall 2 is available on the Xbox One and the PS4, so you have no reason to not pick it up. You know, unless you don't own either of those systems, but let's pretend you do. Now on to number 4, and you might not expect to see a game on this list that doesn't have any multiplayer aspects to it, but here it is. It's Wolfenstein: The New Colossus. Coming out in 2017, this sequel to Wolfenstein: The New Order was one of the greatest FPS games of our generation. Now, keep in mind, this game is extremely graphic, like really, really graphic, so mature audiences only. But if you can get yourself past that, it has insanely fun gameplay. You play as Blazkowicz, just like in the old Wolfenstein games, who's pretty much as American as you can possibly get. The guy lives for one thing: shooting at Nazis. You'll be doing a lot of shooting in this game, and when I say a lot, I mean a lot. Whether that's with machine guns, laser weapons, or even riding on top of a giant mechanical dog. No, I'm not making that up. Wolfenstein: The New Colossus is gonna have something for you, so you should definitely pick it up, but only if you're old enough, please. Wolfenstein: The New Colossus is available for the Xbox One and the PS4, so pick it up today. Coming in at number 3 is the massive multiplayer world of Battlefield 1. Battlefield is no stranger to the FPS scene, and their newest installment really showed how much they love the genre. Battlefield 1 takes us back to World War I, where you'll use period-accurate weaponry and vehicles to try and decimate the enemy team. Battlefield always boasts massive maps and tons of players, so you really feel like you're in a war. You have to work with your team to try and take the advantage. One thing Battlefield always has going for it is how beautiful it is. The explosions, the gunfire, it all looks so real and crisp. It's one of the best looking first-person shooters that you can pick up today. Battlefield 1 is available on the Xbox One and the PS4, so I highly recommend that you pick this one up and join in the war. Coming in at number 2 is one of the personal favorites here at Achievement Hunter. It's Rainbow Six Siege. Rainbow Six Siege came out several years ago, but constant updates to the characters and maps have kept this game new and refreshing. Rainbow Six Siege features a very competitive 5 versus 5 game type, in which you only have one life per round, so use it wisely. The game is all about tactics. Each player has their own unique abilities that can aid their entire team. Not only do you have to be good at aiming, but you also have to be hyper aware of your surroundings and know the strengths and weaknesses of each character on the roster. However, with the roster constantly growing, it's going to be difficult to keep track of them all. So don't get overwhelmed when you first start playing, it'll just take a little bit of time to get into the rhythm. Rainbow Six Siege also has a non-competitive aspect to it, where you can team up with your friends to take down AI enemies. So whether you're just taking out the enemy team, defusing a bomb, or rescuing a hostage, Rainbow Six Siege will keep you on the edge of your seat the entire time you're playing it. Rainbow Six Siege is available on the Xbox One and the PS4, so pick that up today. And now on to number 1, possibly the biggest FPS in the history of this generation. It's Overwatch. Now, there's a good possibility that if you're a gamer and all your friends are gamers, every one of you has played Overwatch at some point or another. Overwatch was released by Blizzard as a team-based FPS shooter. It boasted several different characters that you can play as, each with their own strengths and weaknesses. It's very important to balance your own team so you don't have too many of one class, but also know what your enemy has so you can counter against it. This strategy aspect, along with the fast-paced gameplay, is what made Overwatch so different from every other game. People instantly latched onto the story that really wasn't even there and was released in small videos. They loved the characters, they loved the look. Everything about Overwatch just worked, and it absolutely destroyed the competition when it came to first-person shooters. The matchmaking system in Overwatch is second to none. It always puts you in matches with other players that are your level. And since there's still millions of people playing Overwatch today, it's not going to be difficult to find other people to play with. You can see for yourself why we gave Overwatch the first place position by picking it up for yourself on the Xbox One and the PS4. But prepare to sink a lot of hours into it in the meantime. I mean, it's real easy to get addicted. So there you go, guys, the top 5 first-person shooter games of this generation. According to Achievement Hunter anyways. If you want to see more videos like this, as well as gameplay in those games and plenty of others, make sure to check us out over at achievementhunter.com. We'll see you there, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, everybody!
Thank you, Jeremy. Now it's time for us to take a quick break, but after the break, it's time for RPGs. My favorite. Yes! Keep your eyes right here for more GS TV soon.